I'm Jessica from Not Quite Right Improv. Welcome to Improv Rules for Life. This is the first in a series of just short little tutorials talking about the main rules of improv. So I'll start out by talking about the rule and how it applies to improv, and then how you can adapt that into your life. So, of course, the very first rule we have to start with is yes and. It's the rule that you'll learn first before anything else, no matter what improv class you go to anywhere around the world. Yes and is the foundation of all scenes. You are agreeing to something that is being established in the scene, and you are adding on to it. So let's start with the agreement portion of it first. If somebody in your scene brings you a plate of spaghetti, you, doing yes, would say, spaghetti. You're not gonna say, no, that's a Frisbee. Sorry about you. Because then your partner's irritated, the scene doesn't go anywhere, the reality of the situation completely falls apart, and you got nothing. So the first rule, and that's why it's the most important rule, is you always agree with the reality of what's being established in that scene. Now the tricky part that always kind of baffled me for so long was the and portion of that. You have to do more than just agree. You can't just say, yep, that's spaghetti. That's not helpful. You have to add something onto that. And for the longest time, I thought that meant that you have to agree. So if somebody hands you a plate of spaghetti, obviously you're gonna take it and eat it, right? So it'd be, thank you for that spaghetti. I love it. I am going to eat it now. But does that make for a super interesting scene? Not particularly. With any story, whether it's a book or a scene or a play or something like that, you have to have conflict. And conflict is what makes it interesting. It makes what everybody wants to watch, which kind of, when you think of yes and on the very basic level, goes against yes and. Yes and is supposed to be agree and add, very positive. So conflict doesn't seem to fit with that. But in reality, conflict absolutely does fit in with that. Because and doesn't mean that you're agreeing and going along with, it just means you're adding something to it. So it could mean spaghetti, there's your yes, okay? We've agreed. The reality of the situation is that you are handing me spaghetti. Spaghetti? You know I'm allergic to gluten? Now we have some conflict, but we've still yes-anded. We've agreed that we have spaghetti, and we have just established that I can't have gluten. So now what you gonna do about it? Are we yes-anding? Of course we are. Are we being true to the scene? Of course we are. And that's the foundation of yes and. It's not that you always have to agree with everything that's going on, it's that you're adding to it. So that's the idea of yes and in improv. Yes and in life goes a lot deeper than that. A lot of people think, just like I did with yes and, it means you have to yes everything that everybody wants you to do. Anybody asks for something, yes, of course I can do that. And I'll do this for you too. No, that is not what yes-anding in your life means. You do not have to do everything that everybody wants you to do. Yes-anding means you are listening to that person. You are saying, yes, I hear where you're coming from. I am considering what you need, or I am considering your opinion, and this is my answer. Is the answer always positive? No, not always. The most important part of this for life is that you're taking the time to yes. So often we go through work, life, everything. People give an idea, or they have a thought, or they have a question, and our initial response is usually negative. It's usually, no, that's not possible. We can't do that. No, of course not. I don't have time for that. But have you really taken the time to think about it, to consider it, to give it actual legitimate thought? That's what yes is about. Now you have a dialogue open. You're not instantly negating something. You're not saying you're gonna do it either, but at least you've opened up the dialogue. Yes and is also about opening yourself up to the possibilities that maybe you have never considered before. Maybe risks that you've never taken before because you just assumed you couldn't do it. So there's your very first improv life lesson, yes and. Once again, means agree and add something. The most important part about yes and is the yes. Next time around, maybe we should talk about listening and responding. I think that works pretty well. If you like this, if you found it helpful, please let me know in the comments below. And I'll keep on making some more of these little shorty shorts in my bathroom, because it's the only place where I can find peace and quiet in my house. Have a lovely yes and day.